Hello, and welcome to the Healthy is Happy podcast, the show that helps you get back to the basics of healthy and happy living. We're your hosts. I'm Nellie Ward.
And I'm Jennifer Maha. This podcast is the passion project of two friends who believe that healthy living is happy living. Always look for the good in others, never stop believing in the power of positivity, and think a little hard work goes a long way. To us, healthy living is simply a commitment to making daily choices that keep us on a healthy trajectory, both physically and mentally. We believe it's a lifelong journey, not a destination, and we like to be your co-host along this journey. Buckle up and stay hydrated. It's going to be an epic adventure. All right, guys, welcome to episode 2 of the Healthy is Happy podcast. Our topic for today is the busy person's guide to getting and staying in shape. Nellie developed this topic, so I'm going to let Nellie tell us why it's important.
I actually came up with this topic because that is kind of the number one thing that we see when we get clients is, I wish I exercised, but I just don't have time. And that, I hate to say it, people, that's a lot of baloney because you do.
Well, it's not about having time, right? It's a little bit more about making time.
It's prioritizing.
It's about making time. And I would say, like, as a mom who has kids who do all the activities, and I'm always driving to work or to a practice, and I live far from my office, finding time is hard, right?
Yes. No, we're not saying that I'm not diminishing the fact that people are busy. We're going to give you the tips and tools you need to find the time in your busy schedule.
Right. And so one of the things I think to start with is the number one point of that is a lot of times it's very easy as we get older to not prioritize things that are important to us because we're very busy prioritizing our time and devoting that to other people, right? Especially as a mom, I know that's something most moms are guilty of, and I know that I am as well, but I also know that when I prioritize my own health, my own wellness, that I'm actually a better mom, a better wife, a better friend, better business partner, better teacher, all the way around. So Nellie, what are some of the tips that you've come up with, or just of how to find the time? Because people say, I can't, how do you find, as athletes, right? A lot of people often look at us and other athletes, how do you find the time to do that, right?
For sure. So I will say, it's easier for me to say because I know people who might be listening might be thinking, well, you don't have kids and, all that. That's true. But we do coach adult athletes and we do coach people with lots of kids and way less time than you. And I hate this saying that there's someone that's always busier, but there are busy people. Everyone now, we live in a time-deprived world, where you're a time-starved athlete. I like that term. That the Purple Patch podcast uses that. They call it the time-starved athlete. And it's true because, we live in these fast-moving, fast-paced lives, but it's trying to figure out in like creative ways of things you can do. And, we've worked with athletes where it's even, waking up 15 minutes earlier. If you can go for a 1 or 2 mile walk or run in the mornings just to get your, get up and get moving, it's going to help your mind for the day. It's going to get you out there just moving before you start the rest of the day. It's time for you. I know that, I used to be a person that wanted to always be exercising with other people. I've turned into an athlete that actually enjoys running alone because it's my time to not talk, to not think, I'm always thinking about something. My brain never stops, but it's my time to just be alone. So, making sure that people understand that this is something that you should do because Jennifer said, it's good for you and it's good for everyone around you.
Well, and I know that, a lot of times when you're a member of a large family and you have like kids, husbands, people who depend on you, you do feel like you're always on call, right? I have to be there to do this and do that and do that. And I think something that I've always thought was really important is showing my kids that like doing things for myself is important so that they understand that like at some point they have to be slightly independent as they grow up and that there's not always going to be someone there to take care of them and that moms and dads, we all have our own lives, right? We're a family. We love each other. We do so many things together, but that each of us have to spend time, daily or multiple times a week, if you can't do it every single day, doing something that either you love, you're passionate about, something that makes you feel good, and is good for you mentally and physically. And I think exercise is one of those things, it's good for a mental standpoint, a physical standpoint. It's also a great example. If your kids see you being healthy and active and making good choices, then that is going to be part of the life that they are exposed to as they grow up. And that's the life that hopefully they will live as they become adults.
Sorry.
I was just going to say that, when we're talking about time, right? Mm-hmm. You look at most of us, if you open up your Google Calendar, iCalendar, it's just full of like increments of time and there's just very little downtime. And so we're challenging you guys and anyone that's trying to get healthy or start some healthy habits is look at your in-between time, right? Because there's a lot of times where we're doing stuff, and sadly, social media has become our in-between time.
Yep.
You know, I'm waiting on my kids to finish picking them up from tutoring, and now we have 20 minutes before we go to baseball. Well, instead of, playing on our phones or watching YouTube videos, like that's 20 minutes we could be doing something. Go for a walk, do some stretching, and get physically active, pack a bicycle, or if, depending on what kind of car you have, if you can bring a bike somewhere and just ride around a park while your kids are practicing a sport or something of that nature.
Yeah. So, I mean, like and even for, the people that are working at desk jobs, getting up every half hour, every hour, and just walking around floor of your office, just getting up and moving, doing something, just being kind of trying to prioritize, like, okay, I need to move, even if it's setting an alarm on your phone, like, okay, I've been working for an hour, 90 minutes. Let me go take a 5 minutes to walk, just get up, make, you're just standing up and moving gets your body re-alert and helps like not become so sedentary.
It also helps with your brain activity as well.
So think about lunch breaks. I mean, how often do people have lunch breaks and instead of packing lunch, they're headed out the door to use their hour to go, pick something up, eat, get back to the office. Start packing a lunch, and on your lunch break, take your food outside, eat. It takes you 15 minutes to eat. If you got an hour, go do something active, It doesn't have to involve, getting all sweaty and gross, because I know work clothes, a lot of people are you still have to dress up for work. You don't want to get all sweaty, but you can do something. You can find the time to just go every time that you walk or you take steps, that's doing something. And you'll actually end up saving money because you're not going out to lunch all the time.
You're making healthier choices.
I would say for parents at sports practices. How often do we see at sports practices where parents all drop off their kids, but then it's social hour? Well, make social hour where you go and walk. Jennifer and her friends, they played tennis during their kids' baseball seasons last year.
Last year, we were all sitting around because our kids were young and leaving them at practice seems a little inappropriate at that age. And we have a great sports park. And so they have phenomenal tennis courts. I had just gotten a tennis racket, did not know how to play tennis. And it turns out 3 other moms knew how to play tennis. And so we just made our own little tennis league. And so, the 2 hours our kids were playing baseball, we actually started playing tennis. And it was some of the most fun I'd had in a very long time. Yeah. I realized that I truly love like playing sports. And it became an activity. And the kids would then end up waiting like extra 10 minutes after practice for us because we weren't finished with our match yet. Yeah. And it was just a simple solution. And then like other moms, periodically would join us if they had time. And then we encouraged other moms to go walk around. We have a lake at, where our kids practice baseball, and they would just walk around the lake. And so there's always ways and times, if you think about like, just where are you going to be at certain times and like, what are the opportunities to get active? Yeah. And like Nellie said, even at work, walk around the building, walk around the parking lot, like do it 5 times a day, and you're getting in some pretty good steps.
And the more you do it, people will see that. Like, Jennifer's, that group of moms that she did tennis with, now their kids are all on different teams. So they have a different group of moms, but hopefully everyone is encouraging someone new to
do it.
Come join in, go for a walk, go for a run.
Well, and from that, one of the moms actually ended up rejoining a tennis league, and she hadn't played tennis competitively in a very long time, and she's still doing that, and she's having a lot of fun.
Yeah,
and
she's like really cool. Shout out Wendy.
And Haga.
Oh, and Haga.
Yeah, because Haga hadn't played in a long time.
Yeah, but sorry, Haga. She wasn't on that baseball team. That's why.
No, but she would fill in and come with us to play, and she's very good.
Shout out Haga.
And now both of them actually play in leagues, and it fulfills a need in their life, and they're having a great time. And the rest of us are only slightly jealous because A, they're way better than us, and B, they get to play tennis more often than we do.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So just it's about finding, moments in time. So that's what it is. It's just moments, it's waking up 15 minutes earlier, deciding, okay, maybe I'm going to stay up an extra 15 minutes so that I can get a core exercise in. You don't have to be a member of a gym. You don't have to pay a bunch of money, and you don't have to
fancy equipment. You don't need
any of that. You need the ability to have shoes that you can walk in, go out the door. You need to be able to, have access to, we all have access to this thing called Google, where you can find 20-minute core exercises all day. We do have a page on our website that is, so it's basiclivingbr.com. We have a basic fitness page. Under there are some workouts that we made during COVID. All of them are body weight workouts that you don't need a gym for and you don't need equipment for. So go download those, bring those with you so that if you do have 15 minutes somewhere, just pull them out and get it done, you know?
Yeah. Perfect point. So some other topics as we're looking at how to start healthy habits is like, how long does it take for it to become a habit? Like, what is that path?
So scientifically speaking, it takes exactly 21 days for a habit to form. All right. So yes, it's going to be hard to wake up earlier. Scientifically, the average is after you have done it for 21 days, it starts to become a habit. All right. So a habit is something that you will notice in yourself has changed. It's going to take longer for, other people around you to adapt to that habit, but your body is now alert and conditioned to waking up earlier.
Yeah.
So it's gonna stink for a little while to wake up earlier. We all know it.
But you can do it
if you just do it. And for those morning people who just struggle to wake up, I encourage this with all of our athletes. Okay, fine. If your alarm clock goes off and you are not ready to get up and you don't want to get up, all I ask that you do is you just rotate and you put your feet on the ground. You are much more likely to say, okay, I can get up and do it. If you decide your feet are on the ground and you're like, nope, I need more sleep. Well, okay, at least just put your feet on the ground because you are 99 times more likely to get up and just go about your day than you are to go back to bed.
True. And something I used to do all the time, back when we were training hardcore for like Ironman and things like that, I did have to get up very early and squeeze in runs around all sorts of things. And I found that if I did that, but then I also had by my front door, I had everything I needed to go for a run. And so by the time I got up and put that on, like I was already awake. And if I was too tired, it was too late. I was dressed. So like I would try to give myself a very short window of time to get outside because once you're outside, you're not going back inside. And I never, ever had a run or a walk or any exercise that I did where I regretted it, right? I was always more alert. I felt better. I was healthier. And I think we also know that some people just aren't morning people, or you really just truly don't and can't make the time in the morning.
Yeah.
But what about the afternoons, right? If you come home, instead of relaxing, sitting down, having a glass of wine, watching TV or whatever, just give yourself 15, 20 minutes to do what you might have thought about doing in the morning, but do it in the afternoon or the evening.
Well, and how many people have started to get these Apple alerts on their phones of how much time you spent on your phone during the week? If you take 20 of those minutes and get outside instead of, seeing whose kid did what on social media, that's great. Don't get me wrong. Kids stuff on social media is fun, but there's a lot of things on social media that our brains just don't need to be filled with.
Right.
So like just take that time to go do something that's going to be better for you and for your family than it is going to be just, comparing yourself to others on social media, which is something we all do and none of us need to be doing it.
Yeah, we could do a little bit less of that and a little bit more activity. Another tip we sort of wrote down some notes of things we thought would be good to cover is finding an accountability partner, right?
Oh, yeah.
So number one, some people like to work out alone. I know I sort of enjoy running alone. Other people like to do it with a friend, right? So some people enjoy the social aspect of it. And that's a lot of my closest friends I've met doing physical activities with. Like everyone we've ever done Ironman or triathlons with. There's something about riding a bike with someone for 5 hours. You bond with them pretty quickly. Because usually within those 5 hours, there's endless adventures and shenanigans and sort of problems you have to solve, right? So you bond over that. And some people, it's also social hour, right? So take some of your social activities and see if they can become physical activities. Like I just recently started going on a walk once a week with one of my neighbors, right? And it's social time. It's like time where we discuss parenting and how our kids are doing in school and like what they're going to do over the summer and just, the things that moms typically talk about, but we're power walking. Which Nellie sometimes gives me a hard time about, from Ironman to power walker. But it's just one of those times where instead of just chit-chatting with someone, we thought, what if we just take this and turn this into a physical activity? And it's been a nice addition to my physical regimen, but it is one of those things where it's social time, but now it's social and physical time. And there's an accountability factor.
Yeah. So, and finding a group of that, because it kind of brings people into your life that you might not necessarily have known. We have a group of girls. We have a group called Group 3 on Facebook.
Wow, yeah. We're going to dedicate a whole segment to that later, but shout out to Group 3.
But there's people from all walks of life. Some of my closest friends are people, doctors, lawyers, engineers, moms, even some grandmothers in the group.
Piano teacher?
Oh, yes. I love my piano teacher girl. She's the best. But, it's people that if it wasn't for exercise, our paths would have never crossed. And it is. And understanding that, it's just being there and holding people accountable. We used to do Friday morning runs. So it was Friday mornings, it was a running time. There's Thursday morning runs. Thursday mornings are running time. And it's like, okay, well, you show up because people are also showing up, so it makes that 5 a.m. alarm clock a little bit easier to
you
swallow.
And you know that people are waiting for you. And so you're accountable to them and yourself. And it's fun. Like, I don't think anyone that's ever gone to a group run or group workout has regretted it.
No.
Because it's fun, it's enjoyable. You get to start your day or end your day if you're doing it in the evening with someone else. So a few other topics we wrote down to talk about is just like, how do you get started, right? So Nellie and I are both Ironmen. We've done a few of those, right? We've done marathons. We've done like really big sort of physical activities. And yeah, that's great and it sounds impressive, but like it's not necessarily a goal for everyone, right? Like you can get started doing something very, very small, and you can always only ever do the thing that makes you happy. If that's going for a neighborhood walk for a mile 4 days a week, right? You have to, I think, figure out what makes you happy, right? So trying different activities and figuring out the one that you really enjoy, and then doing that as often as you can and find the time to do it and being accountable to yourself to do it.
Yeah,
for
like
yourself.
a perfect example is, well, I come from my family, my core family of like my parents, my sister, and we were all active. We're an active family. My sister hates running. She has tried for years to enjoy running. She hates running. I was like, Agnes, just do something else. And she has found, she lives in Dallas. She has a class that she goes to. She goes 5 times a week religiously. She loves it. It's a, high intensity interval training class, but she finally found her thing. And she looks forward to doing it. It's not like, oh, I got to go for a run. If you can find something that you enjoy, that's what you do.
Yeah.
You
don't have to be a runner or a bike rider. You just find the one physical activity that brings you joy and is something you look forward to.
An adult soccer league. Join an adult
Tennis
kickball league. Yeah. There are thousands of ways to move. Even if it's just taking your dog for an evening walk every day, 2 or 3 miles, like things like that. But for getting started, this is one of the biggest things that we wanted to cover is stop comparing yourself to others. Logging into Facebook and seeing the person that just ran a marathon or the person that just did that or this or that. The only thing that you owe yourself is to be better than you were yesterday.
And doing it for yourself,
and
right? It's not a competition. There's no end goal and date. It's just today I'm going to be the best version of myself and I'm going to do what I can do today, right?
Yes.
Like I woke up this morning and I was like, I'm going to go for a jog. And my body was like, I don't know that that's in your best interest. So I did 45 minutes of power yoga. I felt great afterwards. And my body feels a lot better for that smart decision.
Yeah, for sure. And like I think that I'm gonna pick on my sister for a little bit here as just a prime example. But if you think about, social media and what it's done to us is, if social media didn't exist, is this still something you would want to do? Like if you could not post about it, if I could not post about running marathons, I would still be running marathons because I love to run. Atkins ran a half marathon. I don't know how much she wanted to do that, or she wanted to say she did it, or claim the
shareability
she didn't actually
factor.
Post a picture, so I think it was something that was on her bucket list. But if you take social media out of it, and it's no longer about keeping up with who's doing
the Joneses.
what. Yeah, that's a funny story for later. Jessica and Will have to tell you on that one. We'll cover that in the Group 3 episode. Jessica and Will, if y'all haven't heard of them, that's 4D Racing. Anyone that is looking to become super fast, super awesome, qualify. They are great local coaches that we have in our backyard. So
yeah,
for sure. But back to what we were talking about. And that was not a paid sponsorship. We just love.
Yeah, that was a friendly sponsorship. Shout out.
No, but back to what we were saying. So think about what makes you happy and do it for you. Because at the end of the day, the excuses you make for not putting on your tennis shoes and going running because you don't like running because you're not actually doing it for yourself, those are going to add up. So go do something that makes you happy, that fulfills you a little bit, and that you just enjoy.
Brings joy to your life, right?
Yeah.
And the amount of time you spend making excuses, this time you could be getting healthy, right?
Absolutely.
And then I think the last topic we wanted to cover briefly is just setbacks, right? So, a lot of times when people make new goals for their life, whatever they are, you have a trend where everything is going well, and then you have a setback where you get sick, you get too busy, you forget. And just remember, like, it is not an all in, all out. It's not a win or loss. You're not keeping tabs on this, right? So if you're making forward trajectory on doing a couch to 5K or going for a walk 4 days a week and you fall off the wagon, I just reset the clock. Like it doesn't matter. There's no one judging you. And the point is to figure out what makes you happy and do it for yourself. And so when a setback happens, it's really not a setback. It's just a pause.
This is a lifestyle.
Yeah. And we all do that. Off weeks are actually really healthy for you for the most part.
Oh, they are. And I am, I need to be better about practicing what I preach because I mentally struggle when I take an off day. And like you have to remind yourself that this is a lifestyle and this is a long game. This isn't, I'm not going to wake up tomorrow and have gained 20 pounds because I didn't work out today, and mentally everyone needs an off day. every
was
now
great.
and then.
So our final closeout here is I think we just had some tips, which is
And kind of a recap.
Make less into more, right?
Yeah.
So take the amount of time that you have and try to capitalize on it, whether it's 5 minutes spread out through the day, like chunks of 5 minutes, whether it's 30 minutes at the end of the day, just figure out the time slots that you
Whether
have.
it's
That
taking the stairs versus the elevator.
Yeah,
Just
that in between
making less
time.
is more.
Also, grocery shopping counts as
Yeah.
physical activity when you have a family and you have to walk all through the store. It's exhausting.
Okay.
There's also strength in there. Keeping things interested. So we said vary your activities, right? Like if you can't necessarily find the one thing you love or you don't like monotony, do a different thing every single day, right? Just try all the activities you can, and eventually you'll find the ones that you like, and you won't
Look
get
for
bored.
local parks in your area. Go explore them. Things like that.
Yeah. And then planning it out, right? Put it on your calendar, right? So you put everything else on our calendar, our kids' soccer schedules, when we have a meeting, when we have a lunch day, when we're getting our hair did. So all you have to do now is just schedule like 20 minutes, going for a walk, going for a run, whatever your activity is. That, to be quite honest, is the only way I ever made it through Ironman training.
Yeah.
Like I blocked off run times, swim times, and bike times, and they were on my calendar. No one could book that time from me. My kids couldn't book that time for me. That was the time that I had scheduled for it, and I did it 2 weeks in advance, and it kept me accountable to myself, accountable to that calendar, and it helped me like stay organized.
Yeah. And for those of you who do need help with the accountability thing and can't find a friend to go exercise with you, get a coach. Coaches are great. They help you. They hold you accountable to your goals. They help you reach your goals. We coach 4D coaches. Anyone who wants to be a runner, Jenny Peters at Varsity Sports is always putting on free run groups.
Yeah. And they're not intimidating at all. So a lot of people get nervous about joining a run group, and they think that they either have already been a runner or be a really good runner, and that's false, right? Those are very welcoming to every style of runner, every age of runner, every ability of runner. And they're very motivational, right? They help you feel like part of a group so that you keep showing up, not just because you have goals, but because it's fun.
Yeah.
It's fun, and you become part of a
So there's
part
a lot of
group.
great resources out there. We're talking about the local Baton Rouge community, but wherever you are, just there people are
community
getting
for
together
you.
to do things. So just go out and find it.
Yeah.
And everyone starts, so don't be scared of starting, because
Right.
everyone
And don't
has to start.
kick the can to tomorrow, right? So I another one of my jobs, I'm an adjunct professor at LSU, and so I gave my kids students a long chat yesterday about just like how to sort of grow up right out of college into the professional world and the things that you need to get there. And it's very easy in that setting and in this setting to get healthy. It's okay, I'm going to do that tomorrow. I'm going to do that tomorrow. But if you look at your calendar, there's 7 days and not one of them is labeled tomorrow, right? So the best time to do something is today, and just to make a plan, make a decision, and say, today's the day I'm going to do it. Because tomorrows aren't always giving, and it's not on the calendar. There's no day on the calendar that says tomorrow. So do it today.
Do it today.
Yeah.
All right. Well, on that note, I think we're about to
Wrap it
wrap
up.
this
I think
episode
Nellie
up.
would like to wrap it up with a joke.
Yeah, so we're also going to include, as well as our highs and happies, we're going to include jokes. Can we make a little like graphic that's like jokes?
Yeah.
For the podcast?
We'll get an intern on that.
Okay. Well, in the spirit of it being April,
Oh, dear God.
all right, if April showers bring May flowers, what do May flowers bring?
I know the answer to this.
Yeah, you
so
can't spoil the
do you
joke.
want me to just make up the wrong answer?
Pilgrims!
Yay! Ding, 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 ding.
All right, highs and happies. What were yours?
So highs, I guess since we're, just full disclosure, we're recording the first 3 episodes all at once. So we're just going to reach back into last week for highs and happies. I think last week my happy was that I was able to stay home all weekend. And I know that might sound ridiculous, but my kids play travel baseball and I love watching them play and it keeps us very busy. But it was quite lovely to just stay around the house and do just really nothing and read a book and catch up on house chores, which sounds super lame, but that did make me very, very happy.
You love those types of weekends.
I do. What was your happy?
My happy last week was, my good friends Austin and Katie got engaged, and it was seeing them just with 100% pure happiness. And Austin kind of planned this, which I thought was a surprise. The engagement was a surprise, obviously, but the party where we all showed up wasn't. But I thought it was. It was awesome. It was a beautiful day outside. It was just, when you see your friends just genuinely happy, it's really sweet.
It's contagious.
Yeah,
it's contagious.
Hi.
So I think the high I'll say is from teaching. And I did have a student that approached me after class and asked, he asked if he could talk to me for a minute, and I said yes. And he was interested in growing up to become an entrepreneur, and he wanted to ask questions about that. And that was a really big high, because as a teacher, you think often, I'm connecting with these students. I'm hoping I'm sharing wisdom and knowledge and helping them on their roads in life. And sometimes you feel like you're doing it, and sometimes you feel like, it's just not hitting, it's not sticking. And I think the fact that I often, when I'm teaching on a topic, I try to give as many examples as possible. And so I pull examples from my own life, my own job, my own business. And I do tell them stories a lot about the journey that we're on and relevant skills that we've had to acquire in this.
You probably go to class saying, Nelly.
The fact that he wanted to talk to me about that, that was a big high, because it meant that, like, maybe I'm doing something right here, and maybe I can help this kid in his journey to becoming an entrepreneur. What about you?
I think my high for this week, which is one that you used in the previous episode, but Sarah Smith, making that official signing to Millsaps, that was my high for sure.
That was
going to be living
fantastic.
on that high for a while.
Like in 72 episodes, it'll still be at the top of the list.
Yeah, she's going to have she's going to be married with a job, and I'm going to be like, well, that time that Sarah signed for college.
All right, well, thanks for joining us on episode 2 of the Healthy is Happy podcast. And until next time.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of the Healthy is Happy podcast. You can follow us on Facebook at Basic Living BR, Instagram for all things healthy and happy living at Basic Living BR, and for more nutrition-focused content, follow us on Instagram at _basic_eats.